The Snowrun Enduro, organised by the Welsh Trail Riders Association at the Crochan Forest. It's a week later this year, on the 9th of February, and just look at the bikes here in the Parc Fermé. In total, 260 competitors, the most disappointing class, the championship, with only 4 riders. As usual, Wetro was making full use of all the old tracks in the Crochan, and the course was marked out very clearly, although some people took a detour. Bob Mullins had been wrenched away from his computer for the day, so there would be a good report on his website, and possibly some video footage.
You fuck off! Like a bloody chintz!
As usual, he was taking it very seriously. David Rodenhurst riding in the Clubman 4-stroke class. The Snowrun was a round of the Welsh 4-stroke championships. A couple of veterans, Cliff Hayward and number 172, Andrew Thresher. The ACU representative, John Collins, was getting back to basics. Bob Mullins sneaked through quietly this time. Some of the puddles of water were rather deep, but George Humphreys wasn't too worried. He'd got his indicator on. George was another rider in the veterans. Most of the going was off-road. It was muddy in places, but nothing like last year. Dizzy Gillespie would know his way around this Crochan Forest. He used to work with the army out on the Epping Range. At one time, the Enduro looked more like a hare and hounds. It was where the championship riders on lap 2 caught up with the sportsman riders on lap 1. This rider looking for the best line, but oh, he didn't look close enough to the front wheel. There were a few steep downhill sections. This bit wasn't too bad, but just over the brow. Well, that chap didn't like the look of it.
Hello! Yes, I'm all right.
Adrian Lavacombe, one of 50 riders in the Clubman 2-stroke class. This is that steep section. There were 2 checks, the one at the start and the other one the out-check in the old Snowrun quarry, and the times were fairly slack, so you could have a good chat here. From check 1 back to the finish included the special test, and it was very close to the start area, so a good place for the spectators to watch. I remember this part of the course being used at the Beacons Enduro a few years ago in the opposite direction then. The special test in the same area as last year, but a few changes had been made, although the trees were still in the same places. There were 1 or 2 muddy spots, but nothing like 12 months ago. That was expert rider Gerald Poole. A few of the experts made the odd mistake. Ben Badley goes down on his knees to say a quick prayer. Some results in the sportsman class. Quite a few of the riders went clean, and it was number 298, Paul Evans, who finished in 3rd place.
Hello! 298.
11 seconds in front of Paul was number 252, Neil Ashton from Birmingham. And the top sportsman rider by a big margin of 34 seconds, Gwyn Thomas from Blackwood. In the veterans, it was Cliff Hayward who finished in 3rd place.
Yeah, you hang on.
Cliff was looking good on the downhill sections. 9 of the veterans went clean in the class. Cliff missed the runner-up spot by just half a second. He was beaten by number 187, Phil Bowen from Newtown. Phil riding a Gas 250. There was a clear winner in this class, and it went to number 184, Hugh Watkins from Blackwood. Hugh, a member of the Gwent Police Force, and a little later in the year he would be organising the Little Oaks Enduro. It was Andrew Sansom who won the Clubman 4-stroke class. Third in the Clubman 2-stroke class was number 111, Pete Houghton from Bristol. Mitch Reynolds from Stourbridge was runner-up. And the top Clubman rider by over 40 seconds, number 112, Michael Rees from Aberdare. That was a big margin, but he was very quick on the tests. On to the experts, and John Hinham was having his first ride in the class, and he finished the best 125cc rider. He was on a KTM this season. Third overall, and the best 4-stroke was number 22, Gary Player. The runner-up in the expert class was number 30, Jack Twentyman. Riding a Honda 250, he beat Gary Player by just over 1 second. And the top expert, a well-known Welsh rider from Llanybother, Calvin Williams. After 2 special tests, he won the class by just under 6 seconds. 4 championship riders in the programme, but only 3 turned up. Number 1 was Andy Frost. And not far behind was number 3, Gareth Andrew.
Oh, what are you doing that for? I was looking at you.
And these 2 riders had quite a battle all day. It was Andy who won the first test by just over 10 seconds. The times were fairly tight in this class, but they both stayed clean on the going. And it was Andy who took the Premier Award, but he wasn't the fastest man on the test. It was one of the marshals. Keith Bowen couldn't believe his eyes, but when the chap came round second time, we worked it out. It was Paul Edmondson.